In this video, I will discuss exploratory data analysis using with Pandas in Python. And we will discuss how to load the data, some external file like some CSV file, JSON file, Excel file, and some other external data to Python. Like to check how many values are there, null values are there, some duplicates values are there, and to perform the univariant, bivariants, and the type of the data. So these kind of the things I will discuss in this video, and definitely you will feel more confident after watching this video. So I will start from how we can load any data in Python. So the Panda library play a very important role. So those want to know the data set. So let's see the video in detail.
So Panda is a library for Python, especially for the data preprocessing, to load data, to clean data, to perform some data related tasks. So the main advantage of the Panda in Python for the data. And in some previous class, I have covered statistics part, and today I want to cover the Panda. So like firstly, I want to load the data and to find out the data for the different thing. Good. And read CSV salaries. So you know very well I have loaded the CSV, but I want to know the actual thing behind this, like info, describe, and is null. We have some null values also there. So data dot info. So data dot info. When we want to press enter, then data is not defined. So firstly, I want to load again the data. It will take some time first. And then we can try info. So you can see the info basically provides some basic information. How many entries? 14 entries. Like 14 records are there. Starting index 0 to 13. Total column, how many columns are there? 3 columns. And column name, position, level, salary. Inside the position we have a 12 record, level 12, but the salary we have a 13 record. And the type of the data is obviously. So it will provide only the basic information about the data. If we want to know the more information about the data, so we can also use data dot describe. When we are working with the describe function, so describe basically used to perform some statistical thing, like similar, how many values are there, counting total 12, level and the salary. Mean of the level, we know very well what is a mean. Mean is average of all given values. And the standard deviation. So how values far away? So level is so nearby, the standard deviation is less, but the salary standard deviation is high. Minimum value 1, In salary, minimum salary is 45000. And the quantile, you know very well quantile or the quartile of the data, 25% data. Like 25% data below 3.75 and 50% data below 6 point and 70% data below 8 value and above only the 25% data above the 8.25 value. Maximum is 10 and the obviously salary this one. So it will provide some basic information, the describe function without any statistical functions, without any mathematical functions. So it is the help. And after that, if we want to check like there is any null value, we have the null value. You can check we have some null value. Nan. So I want to check how many null values are there. So data dot is null. You can see where the true are there, true, true. So the true, true basically indicate the null values are there. And if we want to perform there, we will also remove the null value later. Firstly, I want to show only the single column, like salary only. So it will provide me only the salary.
Sir, can you just send me that data?
All of you have successfully installed the Anaconda and Jupyter Notebook.
Yes, I do have.
And try to write this code. So it is a good thing, like when we are want to display both column, but when you want to display only the single column, so no need to pass the double bracket. We can pass only the simple thing. Yeah, mandatory. When we want to fetch two column or so many, and if we want to display only the one, so we can supply the simple. So the simple single column we can also show into the single bracket, and the two column we can also show in the double bracket. Now I want to come back to this. Yeah. So if I want to pass the 0, it will not give. So there is a function. Function name is head. Head show the 5 record from the data by default. And if you want to display some more, some 2 values, some 2 record, 3 record, so many, I want to print only the 2 record. So you can see the 2 record shows successfully. Class, you can take a time to complete this one if you are open the Jupyter notebook. So kindly perform these things parallel with me, because today I will discuss so many things with data. and to recall and to remember all things is very difficult. So now, similar we have the tail function. The tail will provide the last 5 value, end of the 5 value. And if we want to display the last one value, so we can use data dot tail. So it will give the value last one. So last two value it will provide us. Got it, class? So I want to recall from the scratch. Firstly, I have loaded the data pd.read csv file. It is a complete data. Then we have checked data.info, the basic information, how many columns are there, and inside the columns and how many values are there, and data.describe. The data.describe to find out some count, mean, mode, median, standard deviation, something like that. Like 25% of data, 75% of the data. And if we want to read more, so we have a function is null. Is null basically find out some basic things. And if you want to show some particular function, so we can use, and we want to show some particular column, so we can use this one. And after that, I have discussed how we can uh, print a particular column. So the salary is a single column. We can perform this one. So now the major thing is that when we have loaded, so how we can perform some data pre-processing work. And the head section and the head to head basically uh, provide some starting record in pandas, and tail provide us last values. Now the question is that in Python we have the two things similar. So when we are working and when we want to work with panda, so firstly I want to create a single data in panda. So can we create from ourselves? Yeah, perfectly. So imports, I have already imported, so no need to create import again, but I want to discuss the series used for single dimensional in Pandas. Similar, the series, like I have supported this series and I want to create some data like student name. So similar, we have some marks.
Sir,
Yeah,
so I try to do the same thing, but why I can't get that D type integer 64, the 14, 15.
yeah.
I mean 14.
It is a type of the data basically. Integer data and 64 is a size, 64-bit.
Why I didn't get that one? I only get up to 14.
14?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. So like D type integer 64. So when you run this thing, when you
No, it is not a wrong
ex-
if the data is perfectly show, so there is not a problem.
oh, okay, yeah, I mean like I just missed like D type integer 64. It didn't pop up in my thing. So like
So good. So I am just ready the two things. First one is a name and second one is a marks. So I want to print into this one series. So pd dot information, pd dot series, and to pass data equal to marks, std name, and index equal to std marks. Index equal to name actually, std names, and the data should be marks. So when we want to visualize the data, so you can see the data printed into the tabular format. But still it is not look like a tabular. So we can take the help of the data frame. So similar, if we have a data, dictionary basically, because in series we can supply. So here I just pass only the dictionary, and we can also pass this std name marks into the data frame. How? Like marks and the std as marks and std name I want to supply here. How? Like st and information, and pd dot data frame, and pass this value std name, because now we need to supply the value. Like name, std name. So it say like type object is not supported. You can see we have the two thing, but the problem is that we cannot supply these things isolated. So that is the problem. So we can supply into the pair also. So class try to complete these things, data frame for tabular format. So if we want to supply the marks, so we have to convert into the dictionary, then we can supply this one. Yeah, std. Uh, Actually, it's not a thing. We cannot supply directly this one. We have to ready the dictionary first. No, how the dictionary? It depend on us. Like if dictionary concept, so we can supply first into the dictionary. Like data equal to like name equal std name, then try to print data first. So name is a key. Perfect. So I have fetched the name above name here, and second one I want to pass the marks like marks. So you can see we have the two data into the dictionary, and after that that is a problem. You can see the same thing when we are working this. It is also the same thing, but the series useful on a single dimensional, and it is just same thing, the data provided into the tabular format. Got it class? So kindly try to complete this one. Some duplicate value. So you can see df, and inside the df we have the data. I want to drop the null value. Drop now. So when we perform the drop now, so the null value successfully deleted. So drop now used to delete null value. Got it? But When we want to print again the data like df, so it will again show the null value. So we want to do the changes permanently. So save changes permanently with in place true. So when we perform the drop now and we want to show the data again, you can see the null values permanently deleted. Got it class? What I'm saying? The drop now. And one more thing, but I don't want to drop the value. I just want to fill the value. So how we can fill the value, the null value by like 0 and something more. So we have a function fill now, but now the change is done perfectly. So again, we have the data, like data can be in any format. Data can be null. So if we are just creating the numpy, so inside the numpy we have the np.nan concept. With the help of np.nan, we can pass some null value. But now the question is that mm, before this one, you can see the null values deleted permanently. So if we want to show the null value again, so we have to load the data again. Now I want to fill the value, not want to drop. How? Df dot fill now 0. You can see, but the change is not permanently. You can see 0 fill here. So fill now basically to replace the value. Fill the values. Got it class what I'm saying? Any doubts regarding the fill now? Actually, it is a totally practical. The EDA process, exploratory data analysis, how to load the data, and after load the data, we want to know the how many values are there, column with there. we want to show the particular column and one or more column, and after that if there is some null value, so how we can remove them, how we can fill them. Now I want to create the matrix, the numpy, for and how we can delete the data. We can also load some other thing, some large data. I will load later when we are comfortable with all the basic functions of Panda. So firstly, let's see, I want to create the import numpy as np and that like data. So inside the data, np dot array, and np dot array we have the value like 50, 60, 90, and like np dot nan, and like 71 np dot nan data. So we have some null value. Now I want to provide this data into the data frame Panda. So like no need to use Panda here, but for better explanation, I am just using the Panda. So when you are getting problems, so you can also discuss with me. I can explain all these things slowly, and if you are comfortable, so I can continue. No problem, class. So PD. So PD and the DF, PD dot data frame, and I want to pass the data. You can see some null values are there. So I can perform the dropner right now in the data. But now the question is that if we have a two column, 2D array, but there is no index name. So I have passes the index name. There are so many values. So and for the index column name, it is columns 1, 2, 3, 4. For the example, I am just passing only these things. Perfect. Now I can pass the data one like marks, note the marks, roll number, name, marks and salary. So I want to create the data into this shape. Roll numbers perfect, name, marks perfect, and the salary perfect. So now we have the data, the NAND data. So I have provided the index value with the help of index and the column name with the help of columns. Now the question is that if I want to delete the particular column, so we can delete, and we have the pop functions. So delete and df and pass the roll number. You can see the data deleted. It will give error. The reason is that there is no value because it is deleted. I want to run again. You can see the roll number deleted successfully. So the delete will delete the entire column from the data set. We can also delete with the help of pop functions. Particular column using delete, and particular particular column using drop. Like similar, if I want to delete the name, like df dot pop, and the name is something like that. You can see name is also deleted. The drop now basically work to drop the null values. But if someone asks me like I want to delete the entire column, so we can delete or drop with the help of delete function or the pop function. So class, you can see and try to perform these things. Now the question is that if we want to show only the particular record, like only the second column. So actually the pop is basically run, so that is the reason. If you have delete a particular value at one time, so do not try to delete again, otherwise it will give the error because the particular values is not exist. Now my question is that I want to show the only the one record at a time. So we have the LOC code. LOC, that means line of code use for display specified column. How? Let's see the example. DF. So inside the DF, LOC, line of code. So we have the LOC, that means if I want to supply the 2, So it will give error. No axis 2 or this one. The reason is that it is the column name, not the line of code. So when we supply the line of code, so we have to pass this as a this one. Okay. Perfect. So it will also work as a column. So that is the reason when we want to fetch the particular column. So pass this as a column name. So obviously when you pass a column, so pass the bracket. Now, so we have fetch this one. Now the question is that same ILOC, index line of code. So index line of code, if I supply the index 0, so the index number, this is a 0 and it is a 1. Class, you are getting my point, what I'm saying. Today I'm just working with data. So some data pre-processing tasks, some functions. So not a problem. I will recall from the scratch again if you are getting problems. Just a minute. Okay. I want to recall from the scratch again. The Panda exploratory data analysis to perform some data pre-processing, data manipulation, and data analysis tasks with the Panda. The first things we have a non-graphical analysis, and we will discuss later how we can visualize the data with some data visualization library. Firstly, we have load the data in Panda with the help of read CSV. We can also load some other Excel file, some API data. So I will discuss later. We can also know the function with info to find out some basic information, and describe function will tell us some count, mean, standard deviation, something like that. And is null function used to find out like there is any null value or not. And if suddenly someone asks to print two column value, position, salary, so easily can print to pass two bracket. If someone want to print only the single column value, so can print and use single bracket. And data dot head and tail, we have the two functions. Head will provide starting 5 records by default, but if you want to show the 2 record, so you can pass the parameter like head 2. And the tail function work at the last of the data. By default it will provide 5 record at the last, but if you pass the 2, so it will give the last 2 record. The series, so series basically Panda a single dimensional data So no need to use here the numpy if you are working with the Panda. So you can take the help of series. Inside the series, we can pass the data, std marks and something marks. So it's the index name and it is a data. If we pass the data to the series without any index, so it will automatically identify index number 0, 1, 2, something like that. Data frame for tabular format. So when we have created the dictionary, so it is a dictionary and we know very well what is a dictionary. So that is the reason we have covered, we have start from the scratch, like what is variable, list, set, tuple, dictionary. So the reason is that like when we are working with data, so we should have comfortable those kind of things. The data frame will provide data format to the tabular. Obviously the data frame same, but take the data from the list some other values, and once again I have loaded the data salaries. Inside the salary I want to show the unique value. So the unique value will display how many unique values into the table, and value count function count the value, particular value occur how many times. And fill function used to fill the value, some null value basically, not some other, only the null value which you want to replace. And in place basically used to uh, save the changes permanently. So it is the facility of this. And dropna basically used to drop the null values. If you perform the changes permanently, so you can use in place too. Then similar, I have passes the array and create the array with the help of numpy. Suddenly I pass the index and the columns as per the need. So you can see the data successfully display here. And I want to delete the particular column with the help of delete. So obviously you can delete a report. And if someone say I want to delete, so with the help of pop, we can also delete the value. Line of code, and the similar D2. .44. Now I want to print D1, print D2. So you can see the two data sets are there. But now the question is that I want to append both of them. So Panda replace the append with the help of concat. So that is the warning. So we can use concat. But remember one thing. Excel file will not open here. But while we are working with this one, so it will like tell us how the particular function will work. So when we are working with Excel file, so the library is same, but the function will be changed time to time. So I want to provide some file into the chat box, which you can download and to install them. Read Excel. Okay, perfect. So it will load the Excel file, sample Excel file. I want to provide you this data into the chat box. JSON file. I want to repeat this code again. The reason for better clarity. So I want to pass some JSON file data. So what is the format of the JSON first? You can see it is a JSON format data. The curly braces. And I want to show some more JSON file. It is also. So I want to load first only the Python data.json. So the JSON file function name, so we have a different thing. Let me check. So some problem in the file, if the file is not a proper JSON format, so it will give the error. Read JSON to open data.json. So we can also load some JSON file and just press enter. So the JSON file is also loaded. 160 row and the 4 column. I have loaded the JSON data from the particular file, but you see most of the data available into the API. So firstly, I want to cover what is the API. So dummy API. So we can take a link or the copy the link and go back to the file again. So it is a link where you can fetch the data. I want to fetch the data from the API directly. Just a minute. You can see the data loaded from the API. And if it is the ID 1, but I want to show the data ID 2, suddenly I change here. So you can praise the ID 2 data. So you can also fetch the live data from any website, any API as per the given record. Okay, class JSON data, Excel data, some CSV file data we have already discussed. So we have this type of the data. Any more?